Hello, everybody. You are listening or watching Chatting with Candice. I'm your host, Candice Horbacz. As you can tell, I'm recovering from a bit of a cold, so I apologize for my super sultry, raspy voice this episode. Thankfully, it's a solo, so these ones tend to be a little bit shorter. We have a great episode next week with a couple very spicy guests where we get into the decriminalization of some certain spicy work. So check that out. That should be out later this week, probably Thursday. We're going to do a couple shout outs. Bear with me. Thank you for hanging in there for all of you that are going to stick around with this voice. We're going to do some shout outs. I want to say thank you to a fan of the podcast, Wanda, Norman, Dave, and thank you for all of those cups of coffee. It goes right back into the podcast. As you can tell, we've been doing a ton of in-person guests. I've been traveling to Austin. It goes right back into it. So all of these donations help a ton. Thank you very much. If you want to have a shout out, go to chattingwithcandice.com, click that icon that says buy me a coffee, and I will read your name here. Also, if you leave one of those 5-star reviews, I tend to read those as well, especially if they are good or funny. Let's hop into it, shall we? So Trump won. We won, guys. Turns out it was not a close call at all, which everyone wanted us to believe. And for a second, I was really nervous. He's won 312 electoral votes versus Kamala, who has 226, and 76.4 million votes to Kamala's 73.7 for the popular vote. Let's go over some cabinet picks, which everyone is losing their minds over. And if you look at the stitches, it's amazing because they'll go to criticize someone that he picked, and then there is a dude in a dress, and we're calling that a woman. So it's really shocking. It's just shocking that he won. They are definitely in a position where they should be criticizing anyone of his staff or his cabinet choices. So we have Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense, Attorney General Matt Gaetz. He's getting a lot of criticism right now. I don't know how much is warranted in any of it. And that's the tricky thing after Me Too. We got so used to people saying that this person did something bad 20 years ago, and all we have is one person's recount of the situation with no actual evidence. I don't think that should be sufficient to destroy someone's career or reputation. It has to go through due process, and you have to be able to present it. So we can't just say someone is bad or did something bad. We can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr. I am so excited for this pick. I cannot wait to see what the first thing that he tackles come January. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. She can't really outrun shooting that poor puppy, so she's not really a popular pick. Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. I'm excited for that. I'm really stoked that she got a position. She seems like one of the very few real people in politics. Director of Central Intelligence of the Central Intelligence Agency, we have John Ratcliffe. National Security Advisor, Mike Walls. Administrator of Environmental Protection Agency, Lee Zeldin. Ambassador to the United States is Elise Stefanik. White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles. White House Press Secretary, Carolina Leavitt. Unfortunately, it is not Alex Jones, which the internet was trying very hard for. Director of Communications, Stephen Chung. Border Czar, Tom Horman. This guy is terrifying, and I think that he was born for this position. I cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for that appointment. Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk. DOGE. Can we talk about DOGE? That's the next thing we're getting into. DOGE has been doing me very good. And I remember years ago, everyone making fun and saying it was a shit coin, and I was trying to push it, and everyone told me I was crazy. Mama's going to get to retire soon because of DOGE. So let's just keep pumping that. Let's see what we have here. Trump assigned Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, which is tasked with overseeing government spending. Vivek, we are about to delete entire government agencies. Let's see what Vivek has to say.
Are you expecting to close down entire agencies like President Trump has talked about the Department of Education, for example. Are you going to be closing down departments?
We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us.
I'm trying to look up how many presidents have actually shrunk the government. I don't think that there's many. I feel like the answer is one or two. This will be pretty monumental if it actually happens. And I believe it, because even when Vivek was running, that was one of the main positions that he held, was that he was going to be getting rid of a lot of these three-letter agencies. So we'll see what happens. Let's get it done. The Pentagon failed its 7th straight audit. That's interesting. What happens to a civilian if you fail 7 straight audits?
We're not going to be cutting ribbons. We're going to be cutting costs. And so those recommendations are going to be on a real-time basis. But I do want to take a big step back and for people to understand the scope of this problem. Over $500 billion in the first place. The Pentagon has just failed its 7th consecutive audit, nearly $1 trillion of budget. They can't even tell you where it goes. So I think part of this is exposing for the public the extent of that rot and waste, but then to take steps first through executive action and then laying the groundwork for broader change through legislation as well to rein in that deficit, to rein in that budget. And more crucially, Maria, I know we're talking about this in terms of efficiency, but there's something deeper going on here. This is about restoring self-governance and accountability in America as well. Elected leaders, if they make the wrong decisions, voters have a great choice. You can vote them out and remove them. Most of the people making these decisions, from healthcare to the Department of Defense, are failing on effectiveness because they have no accountability. Historically, it's been the view of many scholars to say that those people could not even be fired. Now we take a different view with the environment the Supreme Court has given us in recent years, and we're going to use that.
The new U.S. national debt is at $36 trillion. And then they're going to come at you if you don't have a receipt for your $4.99 cappuccino while you were at Charlotte Airport heading to work. That makes sense. These people. How the government has spent our money, this should be good.
Gin to a sunfish versus tequila, which would make the sunfish more aggressive? Nearly $1 million spent studying whether or not Japanese quail, if you give them cocaine, whether or not they're more sexually promiscuous.
So we're going to pause that. $100,000 to see if tequila or gin make a sunfish more aggressive. And then we're coking out quail to see if it makes them more sexually promiscuous. This is really groundbreaking science that needs to be funded. Let's continue.
One small step for man, or was it one small step for a man? And in the end, $750,000 later, they couldn't decide. Was it one step for man, one step for a man? $2 million for the construction of a kelp and shellfish nursery in Maine. $1.5 million to encourage video gaming in New York. We might be better off spending $1.5 million to discourage kids from playing video games. $388,000 for Columbia University. Be giving a rich university that has $13 billion any money. $249,000 for the Baltimore Symphony. Give money to all the symphonies and we'd make them part of government.
Let's move on to Trump. Putin threatened to use nukes if Ukraine fought Russia with long-range missiles. Biden told Zelensky he can.
In the updated version of the document, aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the support of a nuclear state, is proposed to be considered as their joint attack on Russia. Russia will also consider the possibility of using nuclear weapons when receiving reliable information about a massive launch of means of aerospace attack and their crossing of our state border. This includes strategic and tactical aircraft, as well as cruise missiles and drones, hypersonic and other delivery vehicles. Russia reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in case of aggression, including if the enemy, using conventional weapons, poses a critical threat.
It is important to note at this point that these are, at this time, proposals to amend Russia's nuclear weapons use doctrine. We heard from Vladimir Putin multiple scenarios in which the rules and regulations governing how Russia can use its nuclear weapons will change. The first scenario is if a non-nuclear power attacks Russia with conventional arms but poses a grave or critical threat to Russia's sovereignty, the Russian leadership will be able to use nuclear weapons to neutralize that threat. The second.
So if I'm getting this correct, is we have a couple months left of the Biden administration. I don't even want to say President Biden because I don't know what he's actually contributing as far as his position as president of the United States at this point. I don't think anyone does. We're trying to enter World War III as fast as we can. Is that what we're doing? Like, let's just get the nukes rolling so then we can blame Trump and say, see, he didn't stop anything in the first place. Or like, what is the end goal? You have to ask yourself that. It's kind of troubling. But I guess it wouldn't be the first time where someone like did something really shitty right before they left, only to blame the next person because they don't like them. Trump says World War III could happen if Biden authorizes Ukraine to use U.S. supplied missiles. Well, duh.
Russia took land under Bush, under Obama, and under Biden. They're going for the whole ball of wax. The only one they didn't take anything from was under Trump. They didn't take anything, not from me, they didn't. The Ukraine disaster would have never happened. Iran also would have never, ever invaded Israel under President Trump. Nobody invaded anybody under Trump. China never even thought of invading Taiwan. Biggest ever embarrassment in Afghanistan would have never happened under Trump. To leave 13 dead soldiers, 45
Yeah, I think most reasonable people would say a lot of these things that have happened wouldn't have happened under Trump. We had a really weak administration, the world knew, and acted accordingly. Trump, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Elon Musk at UFC 309, which I was supposed to be at because my co-host of my other show canceled weekly. Mickey Gall was one of the opening fights. The right is becoming cool again. That's necessary if you want to keep winning. Trump seeing Rogan for the first time since the podcast. This was really cute. I saw this clip.
Democratic candidate Kamala Harris. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Mr.
I don't get it. I love the guy. I don't get it. The narrative around Trump has changed. He's no longer Hitler. Well, that's good. That's good news.
And then he says that the news network that is most critical of him should be taken off the air. This is not a reach. I could go back and talk about Nazi Germany, and I do it without any concerns whatsoever. And if people can't start drawing the parallels, well, you're just stupid, or you have your head in the sand, or you're one of them.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realized it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
Oh my gosh, having conversations with people you don't like. How shocking and adult of you. What is so crazy to me, and maybe it's not even crazy, but you have what was really popular and still is to compare him to Hitler or fascism or Nazi Germany, and that's okay. But then you have someone like Gina Carano, who actually had more of a legitimate claim or connection between when we were requiring vaccine identification to be able to go travel or go to bars, restaurants, participate in a lot of cities. And she was like, I've seen this before. And she did a meme, and I think it was, the show me your papers, and that is what got her fired from Disney. So only one person is allowed to equate certain actions or people to Hitler or Nazi Germany, but you can't do it in the reverse. Kind of seems a little bit hypocritical. And that almost seemed like an apology. I agree that the divisiveness is not helping anybody, but you need to remember who these people are. I am all about forgiveness. I think that it's one of the best things that you can do for yourself, but also with the caveat, if there was someone who's acting like a complete tyrant or authoritarian dictator, or they were trying to infringe upon your God-given rights or your family's rights, remember who those people are. I think that's very important. So forgiveness, yes, but also let's not forget who some of the really bad actors were, because I know that I'm not. I certainly am not. The internet is interneting. Liberals are chugging seed oil. I reposted this and I said, Darwinism is back, people. We are thinning the herd.
I don't give a fuck what they're saying. Seed oils cause inflammation, and they seem to be the subject of every single post. It used to cost me $200 to buy myself a Smile, 2 OC80s, and a gram of Coke. Cheers. Delicious. Don't be a pussy.
Did he actually drink that, or was that not oil? Oh my God. He's going to regret that in about 15 minutes. YouTuber smokes her dad's ashes as a tribute. David, why is this in here? Why is this in here? I'm watching it, so you have to watch it.
I'm going to smoke my dead dad. Before he passed, he told me and my mom what he would like us to do with his ashes. And at first, my mom was a little bit hesitant because she thought, this is kind of hippie, people are going to judge us. But as time's gone on, and it's been 5 years now, we just really think that it's the right time to do what Dad wanted and to honor him the way he wanted. So years ago, he told me and my mom that he would like us to take his ashes, mix it in with some soil, and grow a marijuana plant and smoke him. And I told you he was a rebel. And I actually have footage of us doing this together.
Maybe one more for good measure. Oh my. Well, first of all, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I thought she was actually going to put the ashes in the joint and then smoke that. Didn't someone do that? Isn't that like the Fear and Loathing guy? I don't know. I wouldn't even know how to find that, but I could have sworn someone did that. So not as bad as my initial reaction was, but still kind of weird. I'm pretty hippie, I think, as most of you know. So there's this, I did not do this, but I would probably do it again if I had another baby, where you take your placenta. Well, actually, no, because I bank mine. If I didn't bank mine, then this would be the next thing I did. But you take your placenta and you plant it with the tree, and then it's like the child, like you gift that tree to your child, kind of a thing. So hippies do really weird things when it comes to everything, including growing plants. So you can put ashes or placenta. I'm not one to judge. I think that's fine. I thought she was going to smoke the literal ashes, so this is not as bad as I thought it was. Do you guys think that this is weird? It's not really smoking him. I guess maybe it kind of went up into the plant. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not a botanist. Also, she's 39. She looks like she's 20. I need to know what she's doing and follow this channel immediately. Yeah, I don't think that's that weird. I want to be turned into ashes. I don't know where I want the ashes to go yet. I also want Shiva. So when I go, I want everyone to sit Shiva, and then I want my ashes to be spread somewhere. But don't hold on to them. I feel like that's weird. You gotta put it back into nature. Go back. Circle of life. People are putting them into rings now, which I've seen. So they'll compress the ashes and turn them into jewelry. I think that's weird. I think that ashes need to go back. You need to return to which you came. Mitch McConnell freezes again. This is just elder abuse at this point.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny. Yep.
Okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
Okay, no one should be okay with this. Where's his family? These are the years you are supposed to be relaxing, enjoying, spending with your grandkids, the ones you love, not having any position in government. Zero. This age, that cognitive ability, zero responsibilities. I don't think he can drive. Should you be able to pass a driver's test? Absolutely. Should you be allowed to have a gas burner? Absolutely. I don't think that either of those things apply to Mitch McConnell. Do you think that his kids would let him watch his grandchildren unsupervised? Absolutely not. How is this legal? Can someone explain to me how this is legal? We need to just get rid of career politicians. There need to be term limits. There needs to be a cognitive test that you need to be able to pass. And if you, again, can't have a gas stove or drive a car, immediately the answer is no. Just no. Let's stop doing this. We deserve better. Now we get into the good stuff. Okay, I am so excited about this next topic. We are getting into aliens. I love this. I love this so much. I'm just waiting and patiently waiting for me to get taken up into a spacecraft and them to tell me all of their secrets, their intergalactic secrets. I've originally found all of this stuff on the Drinking Bros podcast, so I'm going to give credit where it's due. We have some hearing details. So the House Oversight Committee held a joint hearing titled Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon, Exposing the Truth, which UFO is way better, so I feel like we need to keep that because this other one I can't even pronounce. The focus was on UAP's potential government knowledge and the implications for national security. Key witnesses, Luis Elizondo, a former Pentagon official, testifies about UAP's monitoring sensitive U.S. military installations and claimed existence of advanced non-human technologies. Non-human technologies. So that's the thing. We automatically go to this is really advanced technology that the government has or some other government has. It's stop thinking it's intergalactic or it's another being. It is non-human. And if you watched some of the clips, which hopefully there's some of them here for me to play, he says there are bodies, that there have been bodies that have been retrieved that are non-human. And if you're watching the people on the panel, they are just as geeking out as me, but they're just composed a little bit more. And they're asking all of the questions like, do we talk to them? what do they look like? And all the things that you would want to know if you just found out there were non-human beings that we are recovering and other extraterrestrials. Elizondo suggested the U.S. possesses UAP technologies and referred to covert multi-decade arms race. Here's the thing. If there is something that is so advanced that is traveling here from another dimension with technology we can't even begin to grasp, if they were bad guys, they would have already kind of gotten rid of us. And I'm sure there are some that are like wheeling and dealing and working with probably some government leaders. And, there's life versus anti-life. I believe in all of that. But I think as a whole, like if they wanted to knock us out, they would have already done it. So there's like something a little soothing there. It's not going to be the end of the world because of the aliens. And I think his name is Michael Greer. He does the Close Encounters of the Fifth Dimension, I think. His opinion is that all of these movies make the alien invasions look really violent and terrifying because it is the CIA trying to prime us for when they do make first contact that we treat them like shit or that we try to attack them ahead of time, and not to listen to that because most of them are actually good guys. Let me see if I can find them. I know, maybe we can put it in the show notes. I don't want to take up too much time. Government transparency. Chairman Glenn Grothman emphasized the need for openness about UAP knowledge and data. Witnesses urged public awareness and scientific investigation into UAP phenomenon. The testimony highlighted the frequent appearance of UAPs near military and secure sites, raising potential security risks. The 2021 Department of Defense report was referenced acknowledging UAP capabilities beyond current U.S. technologies. Witnesses advocated for expanding research and addressing the stigma around UAP studies. It's no longer weird, tinfoily hat, or crazy to talk about aliens, which is great because now I can come out of hiding. Transparency was framed as critical accountability and understanding. 1. Extraterrestrial life, or UAPs, UFOs, are confirmed. They're confirmed, which actually makes me believe it a little bit less, but I'm gonna keep hope. We are not alone in this world. Aliens are real. They're real.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, were they designed to identify and reverse engineer alien craft, yes or no?
Yes.
Does the U.S. government have any reverse, okay, we already answered that question about retrieval programs. Do any U.S. contractors have the same?
I would prefer to address that in a closed session, ma'am.
Okay. In your book, you mentioned government employees who've been injured by UAPs, placed on leave, and receiving government compensation for their injuries. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How can the government deny we have recovered craft if they're paying people because they've been injured by recovered craft?
Ma'am, that's a great question. That's why I think we're here again, because I've seen the documentation by the U.S. government for several of these individuals who have sustained injuries as a result of a UAP incident.
Amazing. I'm so excited for all of this. We've communicated with the UAPs. I'm going to say UFOs because that's better. It's just better. Well, I guess UAP is going to be inclusive of the actual beings. God damn it.
There was a journalist, Christopher Sharp, who said that there was a transfer between Lockheed Martin, Bigelow Aerospace, and the CIA allegedly blocked this. Can you describe that?
What I can say is that it was blocked. Why it was blocked, I can only surmise. I was part of some conversations later on with some of those contract personnel where they had told all of us that is accurate.
It was previously testified that there was biologics that were collected. Are you aware of any of that?
I am, sir, aware of the reporting that biologics have been recovered.
To your knowledge, any communication with a non-human life form?
So the term communication is a bit of a trick word because there's verbal communication like we're having now. The problem is you also have nonverbal communication. And so I would say definitively yes, but from a nonverbal meaning, when a Russian reconnaissance aircraft comes into U.S. airspace, we scramble 2 F-22s, and we are certainly communicating intent and capability. I think the same goes with this. We have these things that are being observed over controlled U.S. airspace. And they're not really doing a good job hiding themselves. They're making it pretty obvious they have the ability to even interfere with our nuclear equities and our nuclear readiness.
That's also exciting. I'm so excited. I just want to see video. How come someone needs to go in there and be a whistleblower? I need to see these things. Or maybe I just need to do a lot more mushrooms. Bill Gates explains alternative to cow meat. Why? Why is that necessary?
Yeah, so there's basically 2 ways to help with cows. Cows are about 5% of global emissions, which is pretty unbelievable.
Wild.
And
also, I'm going to say bullshit on that stat. If you have regenerative farming and you have cows that are living their life on the grass, all of the emissions that are coming out of said cow get reabsorbed into the grass, into the soil, and it ends up basically being carbon neutral. So the problem is not the cows, it is industrialized meat facilities, and it's these giant farms in Brazil that the cows are just standing in their own shit and they're eating corn, which makes them more gassy and messes up their GI. They're not supposed to eat this trash. Imagine like when you go out and you eat all of this like takeout, it's going to upset your stomach. So it's the same thing with the cow. You're giving the cow food it's not supposed to eat, and you wonder why that it's creating more emissions. And then not only that, it's not living in a natural habitat that is designed to reabsorb said emissions. I am convinced the earth is alive, and every time we try to mess with it, it ends up having second and third order consequences that we didn't see. Leave the fucking cows alone. But let's get back to this clip. I do not like this guy. I think he looks like the supervillain in one of the Despicable Me movies. No. Let's just get back to how things were supposed to be raised. Like, let's eat real food. Let's farm with nature, not against nature. Let's stop being so greedy. There's nothing wrong with cows. There's nothing wrong with red meat. What's wrong is the over-industrialization of everything that we've kind of done, and like this giant inflammation of all these industries, and just greed. Just greed is the answer.
If your goal is to get to zero, you don't get to skip the cows or the steel or the cement or, any of those big areas. So there's a whole class of solutions of making meat without cows. Today, it doesn't taste as good and it costs too much. It's going through a little bit of a lull, but those companies, Impossible Beyond, Memphis.
I'm going to pause that again too. Let's look up at the nutritional values really quick, okay, of the Impossible burgers and the Impossible meat versus real meat. It is insane. And then he's going to say it just doesn't taste right and it's too expensive. No, it's actually trash. It's terrible for your body in every single way. You're going to get sick. You're going to get fat. Don't eat it. You're going to get inflamed. But let's just look up the actual, and then look at the ingredients too, right? So steak is just steak. You're just eating meat. But let's look at the Impossible Burger. Okay, so if you have 100 grams of lean ground beef, so 90-10, 217 calories, 12 grams of fat, 5 which are saturated, which doesn't mean anything, by the way, when it's coming from a cow. 90 milligrams of cholesterol, which doesn't mean anything when it's coming from a cow. 70 milligrams of sodium, 0 carbs, 0 fiber, 26 grams of protein. Compare that to a 4-ounce Impossible Burger, 240 calories, so already more calories, 14 grams of fat, more fat, 8 are saturated, so more saturated fat that are coming from seed oils, 370 milligrams of sodium, so an extra 300 milligrams of sodium, 9 grams of carbs, which are going to be simple carbs, not anything that you want to be eating, 3 grams of fiber, 19 grams of protein. Inferior in every single possible way, not to include all the laundry list of ingredients. So let's look at the ingredient list. Oh, wonderful. You guys ready for this super healthy burger that you should stop eating cows for? Top 5 ingredients: water, soy protein concentrate, so say goodbye to all of your healthy hormones and endocrine system. Coconut oil, okay. Sunflower oil, trash. Natural flavors. Here's the scoop on natural flavors, which I didn't know because I used to buy LaCroix water. I stopped because they say natural flavors as well. Natural flavors can include 5,000 different chemical compounds to replicate a natural flavor. So it's not them going out and getting some raspberries and taking the raspberry oil and putting that into the water, or I don't know what natural flavor you would really be putting into here. Probably something like a mushroom. It's not actually from it's not a natural derivative of the mushroom. It is a chemical recreation of that. So it's not natural at all, and that is a scam. Potato protein, methicellose, which is a plant-based binder, which are terrible for you. If you don't believe it, check out the health effects of a lot of these binding ingredients. They're really, really bad. Yeast extract, not bad. Salt, gums, also not great, including Kojak gum and xanthan gum. Soy protein isolate, again, soy is terrible. You shouldn't be eating it. Almost the only soy that I eat is soy sauce, and it's fermented, so I think that gets rid of a lot of the negative qualities and impacts that the estrogen in the soy can have on your body, but that is the only soy that I eat is from a soy sauce. Vitamin E, C, thiamine, zinc. So it's got a bunch of vitamins in there. But again, you're going to be getting all of this from red meat, and it's going to be more bioavailable. So instead of eating a beautiful grass-fed ribeye, let's eat some soy protein with sunflower oil and see how you feel. But back to the clip.
We pursued many solutions. So one is to vaccinate the cows in a way that their gut
He's vaccinating the cows too. This just keeps getting better.
Bacteria that emit the methane, which is also called natural gas or CH4, which is the second most important greenhouse gas. You can vaccinate them, and that species of bacteria isn't there.
Or you can feed them grass and not have to vaccinate the cow.
Their stomachs are very special because they can eat grass. It's a 3-stage fermentation process, basically. There's another way you can change what they eat, and you could either put that in their water or their feed. There is a drug to change the microbiome, not a vaccine, but a drug. That looks very promising. And then there's a solution where you stick a sort of a metal thing into the skin of the cow, and it actually burns the methane. And all of these look to be quite cheap and implementable even in Africa. And so this is one where I wasn't hopeful when I got started a decade ago. And now it's just a question which solution for which country ends up being the best.
The solution, again, is going back to regenerative farming and having cows eat grass again. That is the solution. I just saved you billions of dollars. You're welcome, Bill Gates. What else do we have? Miss Universe. This is taking the internet by storm. Miss Denmark is the new Miss Universe, probably the first blonde, blue-eyed white girl to win in over 20 years. It's been 20 years since a European, like a white European, has won. And she doesn't have a dong. So that's not very progressive. Trump is ruining everything. She's objectively perfect, right? She's objectively beautiful, objectively perfect. I've never liked beauty pageants. They remind me of like those, what is it, the ASPAC, the dog show things. Not for me, but if that's what you want to do, go for it. Yeah, she's stunning. I don't know what the criteria is because I'm assuming most of those women are objectively perfect and stunning. So you just have to answer interview questions and look good in bikini and maybe blow a couple judges. I'm not sure how it works, but good for her. She's beautiful. I'm just happy that she's not a dude. The last thing I want to talk about that is not in the notes is everyone is kind of going crazy over crypto. I'm going to probably have Pomp back on. I was just talking to him the other day and talk about this run we have been on. It has been incredible. Again, Mama might get to retire, and that would be amazing. So I think that, and this is all just purely speculation, there's probably going to be a big dip soon. Wait for the dip. Go in. Go hard. DOGE, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Those are the 3 coins everyone should own a little bit of. You don't need a lot. Find something like Uniswap or Coinbase and get in. I was hounding a couple of my friends maybe a year ago to get into Bitcoin. So I was messaging him and saying, how's your wallet? And he's like, I wish I had bought more when you told me. And everyone says that. Get into it. I'm not a financial advisor, but do something that's like a little bit anti-establishment. It's the only thing that has a finite amount, and the way that you mine it is slowing down every time that people get more coins, making them more inherently valuable. I can't say enough about it. It has changed my financial life since getting into crypto. I'm very apish. I hold, I never sell. That's what I recommend for everybody, at least for 5 to 10 years, but wait for the dip or just get in now. Dollar cost average, baby. You are not going to be sorry. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you were my friend, which I consider you my friend, I would tell you to get into some crypto. And those are the 3 coins that I would be shilling. So let's see if we can get Pomp on because he actually knows what he's talking about. And for me, I am just a regular layman that is very happy. I'm very happy with how things have been in the last few weeks. That's it for this week's episode of Chatting with Candice. Again, we have we have our interview coming later this week. It should be out Thursday. And if you like this, you will like the interviews, long format discussions with really interesting people, provocative topics. It is a great time. And please leave that 5-star review, like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. It helps with the algo. We're starting to creep. We're starting to grow. All of these things are very good. And I will see you later this week. Bye, everybody.